In the darkness of space, far from Earth, a spaceship called the Stellar Horizon floated silently. On board were 6 humans, exploring parts of the galaxy no one from their planet had ever seen before. The crew was led by Captain Daniel Carter, a calm and steady man with years of experience in deep space missions. Among the team was Alex Monroe, a quiet engineer who spent most of his time fixing things or working on gadgets. He wasn't the kind of person to speak up often, but when he did, people listened. One day, while scanning a nearby star system, the crew picked up something unusual: a massive ship hovering near an asteroid field. It was unlike anything they'd encountered before. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the light of distant stars. As the stellar horizon approached cautiously, a communication signal came through. The voice on the other end was deep and strange, speaking in broken English. "This is Cal Vor of the Vrin. You are trespassing." Captain Carter stepped forward, standing tall despite the tension in the air. "We mean no harm," he said firmly into the communicator. "We're explorers from Earth. We didn't know this area was claimed." After a pause, the alien responded, "You will come aboard. We will decide your fate." The crew exchanged nervous glances, but had little choice. They boarded a shuttle and traveled to the Vrin ship. When they arrived, they were greeted by towering figures with sleek, metallic skin that seemed to glow faintly. Their eyes were sharp and cold, studying the humans as if they were insignificant insects. At the center of the group stood Cal Vor, the leader, who looked down at them with clear disdain. As the two groups faced each other, the Vrin began to laugh. Not out of joy, but mockery. One of them pointed at Alex, who stood slightly behind the others, holding a small robot named Rex. Rex was designed for reconnaissance tasks, built to be quick and agile rather than powerful. Barely larger than a dog, it rolled around on treads, its sensors blinking softly. To the Vrin, Rex looked ridiculous compared to their own giant war machines. "Is that your warrior?" One of the aliens sneered, pointing at Rex. "It is smaller than our pets." The rest of the Vrin erupted in laughter, their voices echoing through the chamber. Even Cal Vor smirked, shaking his head. "You call yourselves intelligent beings, yet you bring such toys to face us." Alex clenched his fists but said nothing. He trusted Rex completely. This little machine had saved his life more times than he could count. Rex wasn't just a tool, it was a partner. But the Vrin couldn't see past appearances. To them, size equaled strength, and anything small was worthless. Captain Carter tried to keep the situation under control. "We didn't come here to fight," he said diplomatically. "But we won't back down either. If you wish to test us, we'll accept the challenge." His words silenced the Vrin momentarily. Cal Vor tilted his head, intrigued. "A challenge? Very well. Let us see what your warrior can do against ours." The crew felt uneasy. They knew the Vrin were physically stronger and technologically advanced. Yet Alex stepped forward without hesitation. "I'll go," he said quietly, gripping Rex tightly. Some of the crew members protested, worried about sending Alex and Rex into danger. But Alex simply nodded at Captain Carter, who gave him a reassuring look. The Vrin laughed again, louder this time. "This tiny creature and its master think they can stand against us." Cal Vor bellowed. "Fine. Let the games begin. But do not cry to us when you fail." Though the odds seemed impossible, Alex remained calm. He knew Rex's true abilities, and he also knew that sometimes brains mattered more than brawn. As the Vrin led them to the arena, Alex whispered to Rex, "Don't worry, buddy. We've got this." And for the first time since arriving, Alex smiled, ready to prove the Vrin wrong. The arena was unlike anything Alex or the crew had ever seen. It materialized before their eyes, a vast desert stretching endlessly in all directions. Jagged cliffs rose in the distance, casting long shadows across the golden sand. The air shimmered with heat waves, and the ground felt rough beneath their boots. This wasn't a real place. It was a simulation created by the Vrin to test skill and strategy. To the humans, it felt eerily lifelike. Calvor stood at the edge of the arena, his towering frame casting a shadow over everyone. He gestured toward one of his warriors, Zerk, who stepped forward. Zerk was even larger than Calvor, his metallic skin glinting under the artificial sun. He carried two glowing energy blades, crackling with power. The Vrin audience gathered around the edges of the arena, watching with smug expressions. They were certain this would be an easy victory. Alex stood beside Rex, feeling small but determined. The Vrin laughed again when they saw him, pointing at Rex and shaking their heads. "This is your champion." One of them jeered. "What a joke." Even Zerk smirked, flexing his massive arms as if he were preparing for a workout rather than a battle. Captain Carter leaned close to Alex before stepping back. "Remember what we talked about," he said quietly. "Stay sharp." Alex nodded, gripping the controls on his wristband that connected to Rex. He trusted his partner completely. Together, they had faced tough situations before. This wouldn't be any different. When the signal to begin sounded, Zerk didn't hesitate. With a roar, he charged straight at Alex and Rex, his energy blades slicing through the air. The crowd cheered wildly, expecting an instant win. But instead of running directly away, Alex tapped a command on his wristband. Rex zoomed forward, dodging left and right between rocks and crevices. Zerk stumbled slightly, confused by the robot's erratic movements. "Catch us if you can," Alex shouted, trying to provoke Zerk into making mistakes. The alien growled, swinging his blades wildly as Rex darted around him. Each missed swing only made Zerk angrier. The Vrin audience began to laugh, thinking Alex and Rex were too scared to fight back. They didn't realize the pair was setting up something bigger. While Rex kept Zerk distracted, Alex activated a hidden feature within Rex's system. Tiny drones unfolded from compartments in Rex's chassis, buzzing softly as they spread out. These drones weren't weapons, they were scouts. They mapped the terrain quickly, identifying weak points in the rocky cliffs surrounding the arena. At the same time, holographic decoys projected images of Rex onto the sand, confusing Zerk even more. Zerk swung at one of the decoys, slicing through thin air. "Where are you?" he bellowed, frustration creeping into his voice. The Vrin spectators booed, calling Alex and Rex cowards. But Alex ignored them, focusing entirely on the task at hand. He studied Zerk's movements carefully, noticing patterns. The alien relied heavily on brute force, leaving himself exposed after every attack. Finally, Alex gave Rex a new command. The little robot scurried behind Zerk, planting small explosive charges at the base of a nearby cliff. The explosives were designed to look like ordinary rocks, blending perfectly with the environment. Once the charges were set, Rex sped back to Alex's side. "You're done running," Zerk roared, spotting Rex near Alex. He raised his blades high, ready to strike. But just as he lunged forward, Alex pressed a button on his wristband. The charges detonated, sending a cascade of boulders tumbling down onto Zerk. The alien warrior let out a surprised shout as the rocks pinned him to the ground, immobilizing him. For a moment, there was complete silence. The Vrin stared in shock, unable to believe what had just happened. Their mighty warrior, defeated by a human and his tiny robot. Calvor's expression darkened as he stepped forward, clearly displeased. "This isn't over," he said coldly. "You've used tricks, not strength." Alex met his gaze without flinching. "Tricks are part of strategy," he replied calmly. "Strength isn't everything." The Vrin grumbled among themselves, some impressed by the cleverness of the humans, others furious at the outcome. Calvor clenched his fists, then raised his hand. "Fine, we will have another match. But next time, I will face you myself." As the crowd dispersed, Alex knelt beside Rex, giving him a quick check. "Good job, buddy," he said with a smile. Though the first round was over, Alex knew the hardest part was yet to come. But for now, they had proven that even the smallest warrior could make a big impact. The Vryn wasted no time preparing for the second round. Calvor himself stepped into the arena, his towering figure casting a long shadow over the simulated desert. Unlike Zerk, who had relied on brute strength and flashy weapons, Calvor carried a sleek, pulsating plasma spear. Its tip glowed with an eerie blue light, humming softly as if alive. The Vryn audience roared in approval, their confidence renewed now that their leader was taking the field. Alex stood with Rex at his side, feeling the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about proving that humans weren't to be underestimated. The Vryn sneered from the sidelines, mocking Alex's small frame and Rex's unimpressive size. "Your little machine won't save you this time," one of them shouted. "Calvor will crush you both." Captain Carter gave Alex a firm nod before stepping back. "You've got this," he said quietly. Alex took a deep breath, gripping the tools strapped to his belt. He knew this fight would be different. Calvor was faster, smarter, and far more dangerous than Zerk. But Alex also knew something the Vryn didn't. Brains could outmatch brawn if used the right way. When the signal sounded, Calvor moved with surprising speed. He lunged forward, swinging his plasma spear in a wide arc. Alex dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the weapon's deadly glow. Rex zipped away, creating distance between himself and the alien leader. The Vryn crowd cheered, thrilled by the action. To them, it looked like Calvor was toying with his prey. But Alex wasn't panicking. As Calvor advanced, Alex activated a device on his wristband, a handheld EMP emitter designed to disrupt electronic systems. He aimed it carefully, firing a pulse toward Calvor's spear. For a brief moment, the weapon flickered, its glow dimming as the energy flow was interrupted. Calvor hesitated, clearly surprised. The Vryn murmured among themselves, unsure what had just happened. Seizing the opportunity, Alex signaled Rex to act. The little robot darted around Calvor, deploying holographic decoys once again. Multiple images of Rex appeared on the sand, each one moving independently. Calvor swung his spear wildly, trying to hit the real Rex, but only striking illusions. Frustration began to show on his face, though he tried to hide it. Meanwhile, Alex studied Calvor's movements closely. He noticed that the alien leader favored his right side when attacking, leaving his left momentarily exposed after each swing. It was a subtle pattern, but enough for Alex to exploit. Keeping low, Alex circled Calvor, staying just out of reach while planning his next move. Rex continued to play his part perfectly, distracting Calvor with bursts of light and sound. At one point, the robot even rolled under Calvor's legs, causing the alien to stumble slightly. The Vryn audience groaned, unaccustomed to seeing their leader struggle. Calvor growled, his patience wearing thin. Finally, Alex saw his chance, when Calvor swung his spear again, exposing his left side. Alex sprinted forward. He pulled a small adhesive charge from his belt and slapped it onto Calvor's ankle before retreating quickly. The alien barely noticed, too focused on chasing Rex. Moments later, Alex triggered the charge remotely. A burst of electromagnetic energy surged through Calvor's leg, temporarily disabling the joint mechanism in his armor. Calvor stumbled, falling to one knee. The crowd fell silent, stunned by the turn of events. Alex stepped forward, holding the EMP emitter pointed at Calvor. "It's over," Alex said firmly. "You don't have to keep fighting." For a moment, Calvor hesitated. His pride clashed with the reality of the situation. Finally, he lowered his spear, acknowledging defeat. The Vryn spectators erupted in murmurs, some impressed by Alex's ingenuity, others outraged by their leader's loss. Captain Carter approached, addressing the aliens calmly. "We came here to learn, not to humiliate. Today shows that strength isn't just about size. It's about how you use what you have." As the tension eased, Alex knelt beside Rex, patting the little robot affectionately. Together, they had proven that even the smallest warrior could stand tall against giants. After Cal Vor's defeat, the atmosphere aboard the Vrin ship shifted dramatically. The aliens, who had once laughed and mocked the humans, now watched them with a mix of curiosity and unease. Some whispered among themselves, clearly surprised by how much trouble Alex and Rex had caused. Others glared at the humans with simmering anger, unwilling to accept that their leader had been outsmarted. Cal Vor stood silently for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then, with slow, deliberate movements, he rose to his full height and addressed the crowd. "The humans have proven resourceful," he admitted, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. "But this is not the end. They will leave here with what they sought, our knowledge. But let it be known that we are still superior." Captain Carter stepped forward, meeting Cal Vor's gaze without flinching. "We didn't come here to prove superiority," he said calmly. "We came seeking understanding. Today showed us that both our peoples can learn from each other." The Vrin leader nodded stiffly, though his pride was clearly wounded. He signaled to one of his subordinates, who handed over a small data crystal. "This contains some of our technology," Cal Vor explained. "Use it wisely. But do not return unless you bring something of equal value." With that, the humans were escorted back to the stellar horizon. As they boarded their ship, the crew couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and triumph. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, not through brute force, but through teamwork, strategy, and ingenuity. Back on the stellar horizon, Alex sat in the engineering bay, tinkering with Rex. Despite everything they had accomplished, he felt no need for celebration. For him, the mission wasn't about glory. It was about protecting his friends and proving that even the smallest among them could make a difference. "You did great out there, buddy," Alex said softly, patting Rex's metallic frame. The little robot beeped in response, its sensors blinking happily. Captain Carter joined Alex in the bay, leaning against a nearby console. "You handled yourself well today," he said with a smile. "Not many people could have pulled off what you did." Alex shrugged modestly. "It wasn't just me. Rex did most of the work. If it weren't for him, we'd never have made it through." Carter chuckled. "Maybe so, but you're the one who kept your head when things got tough. That's what makes a true leader." As the stellar horizon drifted further into uncharted space, the crew gathered in the main lounge to review the data crystal the Vrin had provided. The information inside was complex, filled with schematics and equations far beyond anything humanity had developed. It would take months, maybe years, to fully understand it all. But the possibilities were endless. New forms of energy, advanced materials, and even methods for faster-than-light travel. Rachel, one of the ship's scientists, scrolled through the files, her eyes wide with excitement. "This could change everything," she murmured. "If we can figure out how to use this technology, Earth's defenses will be stronger than ever." Daniel, another crew member, nodded in agreement. "And we owe it all to Alex and Rex. Without them, we'd still be stuck trying to talk our way out of that arena." Alex listened quietly, feeling a warmth spread through him. He hadn't expected gratitude. He had simply done what needed to be done. But hearing his teammates acknowledge his efforts meant more to him than any medal or trophy ever could. As the hours passed, the crew began discussing their next steps. Captain Carter suggested heading toward a nearby star system rumored to hold ancient ruins. "There might be more answers out there," he said thoughtfully. "And if we run into trouble again, I know we've got the right team to handle it." Alex smiled faintly, looking down at Rex. The little robot rolled closer, its treads humming softly. Together, they had faced giants and won. And as the stellar horizon sailed deeper into the unknown, Alex knew there would be more challenges ahead. But whatever came their way, he and Rex would face it together. Somewhere in the distance, the Vrin watched the human ship disappear into the stars. Though they remained wary, Some of them couldn't help but admire the cleverness and determination of the small beings who had dared to stand against them. Even Calvor, alone in his quarters, replayed the battle in his mind. Perhaps, he thought, there was more to these humans than he had first believed. As the stellar horizon continued its journey, the crew worked tirelessly to decode the data crystal given by the Vrin. Rachel and Daniel spent hours in the lab, poring over the schematics and equations. The information was dense and complex, but they were determined to unlock its secrets. Every breakthrough brought a new wave of excitement, and sometimes frustration, as they realized just how advanced the Vrin truly were. Meanwhile, Alex kept himself busy maintaining Rex and upgrading some of the ship's systems. He wasn't part of the science team, but he knew his skills were just as important. Without him, the stellar horizon might not function properly if something went wrong. Still, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride, knowing that his partnership with Rex had played such a key role in securing the crystal. One evening, while most of the crew rested, Captain Carter called everyone to the main lounge for an update. "We've made progress," he began, standing at the front of the room. "Rachel and Daniel have identified several technologies in the crystal that could revolutionize our own. For example, there's a design for energy shields far stronger than anything we currently use." The crew murmured excitedly, imagining the possibilities. Stronger shields meant better protection for Earth against potential threats, but Carter raised a hand to quiet them. "However, this isn't going to be easy. Some of these designs require materials we don't even know how to create yet. We'll need more time, and maybe more allies, to fully understand everything." Alex leaned forward slightly, intrigued. "Do you think the Vrin would help us again?" he asked cautiously. "Or are there other species out there who might?" Carter nodded thoughtfully. "That's exactly what we're hoping to find out. Our next destination is a star system where ancient ruins have been spotted. If those ruins belong to another intelligent species, we might learn something valuable, or even make contact." The idea sparked a mix of hope and nervousness among the crew. They had already faced one alien race and barely survived. What if the next encounter turned hostile? But they also knew that exploration came with risks, and the rewards could change humanity's future forever. Over the next few days, the stellar horizon prepared for its next mission. Alex spent extra time fine-tuning Rex, adding new features based on what he'd learned from the battle with the Vrin. He installed a small plasma cutter into Rex's chassis, giving the robot a way to defend itself if needed. "Just in case," he told Captain Carter with a shrug. On the day of departure, the ship entered hyperspace, leaving behind the sector where they had met the Vrin. As they traveled, Alex often found himself thinking about Calvor and his people. Despite their arrogance, the Vrin weren't entirely unlike humans. They valued strength and innovation, though they underestimated creativity and teamwork. Maybe someday, Alex thought, humans and Vrin could work together instead of clashing. Back in the lab, Rachel made a surprising discovery. Hidden within the data crystal was a message, written in fragmented English. It read, "Asterisk, to those who seek knowledge, beware. Not all paths lead to peace. Asterisk." The word sent a chill through the crew. Was it a warning, or simply a reminder of the dangers of exploring the unknown? Captain Carter decided not to dwell on it too much. "Every step forward comes with risks," he said firmly. "But we can't let fear stop us." When the stellar horizon finally arrived at the new star system, the sight took their breath away. A massive planet loomed in the distance, surrounded by rings of shimmering debris. On its surface, faint outlines of structures hinted at ruins buried beneath layers of dust and rock. The crew exchanged glances, excitement bubbling up once again. As they prepared to land, Alex felt a familiar thrill, the same feeling he'd had before facing the Vrin. Whatever awaited them on this mysterious planet, he knew one thing for certain. He and Rex would face it head-on, just like always. Together, they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The stellar horizon touched down on the surface of the mysterious planet, its landing gear sinking slightly into the soft, dusty ground. The air outside was thin and cold, but breathable thanks to advanced environmental suits the crew wore. Alex, Captain Carter, Rachel, and 2 others stepped onto the alien terrain, their boots crunching against the rocky soil. Rex rolled alongside them, his sensors scanning the area for any signs of danger. The ruins stretched out before them, ancient and crumbling. Towering stone structures jutted out from the ground like broken teeth, covered in strange carvings that glowed faintly under the dim light of the distant sun. It was clear this place had once been home to an advanced civilization, though no one could say how long ago or why they had vanished. "This is incredible," Rachel whispered, her voice filled with awe as she ran her gloved hand over one of the glowing symbols. "These markings look like some kind of language. If we can decipher them, we might learn who built this place." Captain Carter nodded, keeping a watchful eye on their surroundings. "Stay alert. We don't know what's out here, or if anyone still lives nearby." As they moved deeper into the ruins, Alex noticed something unusual. Several of the carvings seemed to depict star maps, showing constellations unfamiliar to him. One map, in particular, caught his attention. It showed a cluster of stars connected by lines, forming a pattern that looked almost deliberate. He pointed it out to Rachel, who quickly snapped pictures with her handheld scanner. "These could be coordinates," she said excitedly. "Maybe they're pointing to another location, or even another species." Before they could investigate further, a low rumble echoed through the ruins. The ground shook slightly, sending dust cascading down from the cracked walls. Everyone froze, looking around nervously. Then, without warning, a section of the floor collapsed beneath Rachel, dropping her into a hidden chamber below. "Rachel!" Alex shouted, rushing to the edge of the hole. Captain Carter signaled for calm as he peered down into the darkness. Below, Rachel lay sprawled on the ground, dazed but alive. Thankfully, her suit protected her from injury. "We'll get you out," Carter assured her, pulling out a grappling hook from his belt. With Alex's help, they lowered the hook down to Rachel and carefully hauled her back up. But when she climbed out, she wasn't empty-handed. In her arms, she held a small metallic object, shaped like a sphere, with intricate designs etched across its surface. "What is that?" Daniel asked, staring at the artifact. "I found it down there," Rachel replied, brushing off the dirt. "It feels important." Alex examined the sphere closely, noticing tiny grooves along its edges. "It looks like it opens," he said, turning it over in his hands. Just then, Rex beeped softly, his sensors detecting energy emanating from the object. Whatever it wasn't just a piece of junk. It was alive in some way. Captain Carter frowned, clearly uneasy. "Be careful with that thing. We don't know what it does, or if it's dangerous." As Rachel handed the sphere to Alex for closer inspection, it suddenly lit up, glowing brightly. Startled, Alex nearly dropped it, but managed to hold on. The light pulsed rhythmically, casting eerie shadows across the ruins. Then, a deep mechanical voice echoed from within the sphere, speaking words none of them understood. "It's communicating," Rachel exclaimed, grabbing her scanner to record the sounds. "This could be our chance to make contact, if we can figure out what it's saying." The crew exchanged nervous glances. They had come seeking knowledge, but now they wondered if they were ready for the answers. Alex tightened his grip on the sphere, feeling both excitement and unease. Whatever secrets this artifact held, they were about to uncover them, and nothing would ever be the same again. The glowing sphere in Alex's hands pulsed brighter, its rhythmic light casting an otherworldly glow over the ruins. The mechanical voice continued to speak, its tone calm but insistent. Though none of the crew could understand the words, the message felt urgent, as if the artifact was trying to warn them or share something vital. Rachel worked quickly, connecting her scanner to a translation program stored in the ship's database. "Give me a minute," she said, typing furiously on her handheld device. If this language is anything like the ones we've encountered before, I might be able to decode it. As they waited, Captain Carter kept watch, his eyes scanning the shadows around them. The ruins were eerily quiet now, except for the soft hum of the sphere. Something about the atmosphere made him uneasy, as though they weren't alone. Rex rolled closer to Alex, his sensors picking up faint movements in the distance. Beeping softly, he alerted Alex to the presence of something, or someone, approaching. "Captain," Alex whispered, nodding toward the edge of the ruins. Through the haze of dust, dark shapes began to emerge. They were humanoid figures, tall and slender, their bodies covered in shimmering robes that seemed to shift like liquid. Their faces were obscured by masks resembling the carvings on the walls. The crew froze, unsure whether to greet these newcomers or prepare for conflict. One of the figures stepped forward, raising a hand in what appeared to be a gesture of peace. From beneath its mask came a voice, deep and resonant, speaking broken English. "You have awakened the echo." "The echo," Captain Carter repeated cautiously. "What is that?" The figure pointed to the sphere in Alex's hands. "It holds the memories of our ancestors, the knowledge of those who came before. You must listen carefully, for it speaks of balance and warning." Rachel glanced at Alex, her expression tense. "Should we activate it fully, or is this too risky?" Before anyone could answer, the sphere flared again, projecting images into the air. Scenes unfolded before them. Vast cities floating among the stars, civilizations thriving in harmony with nature. And then, destruction. Planets crumbling, ships exploding, entire species wiped out. The final image showed a map of the galaxy, with several systems marked in red. "This is a warning," the figure explained. "The red marks show where imbalance has led to ruin. Your kind stands at a crossroads. Choose wisely, or you will follow the same path." A heavy silence fell over the group. Alex tightened his grip on the sphere, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. These aliens weren't enemies. They were guardians, trying to protect others from repeating past mistakes. "We won't ignore your warning," Captain Carter said firmly. "We'll take this knowledge back to Earth and use it to build a better future." The figure nodded slowly. "Then you may leave in peace. But remember, the echo will watch." With that, the figures turned and disappeared into the ruins, their forms melting into the shadows. The crew stood in stunned silence, processing what had just happened. Alex looked down at the sphere, now dim and silent once more. Whatever it was, it had given them a choice, and a chance to change their destiny. Back aboard the Stellar Horizon, the crew gathered in the lounge to discuss their next steps. Rachel and Daniel began analyzing the star map, while Captain Carter plotted a course for home. Alex sat quietly, staring at Rex. "Do you think we're ready for all this?" he asked softly. Rex beeped in response, his treads humming reassuringly. Alex smiled faintly. Together, they had faced giants, solved puzzles, and uncovered secrets beyond imagination. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew they would face them side by side. As the Stellar Horizon soared through space, heading back toward Earth, Alex couldn't help but feel hope. Humanity wasn't perfect, but it was capable of learning, growing, and changing. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to make a difference in the universe.